The bee wizard used honey convergence. He created a honey ball to trap the mudskippers, but another group of mudskippers attacked the bee wizard. Seeing this, the slime mold commanded the snakehead fish to block them and used inflate. He then shifted his consciousness to the bee wizard and continued using honey convergence. The bee wizard wrapped the mudskippers in honey balls. The slime mold declared success, noting that honey's stickiness was perfect for restricting movement. He noted that honey's viscosity comes from its high sugar and low water content, even higher than his own cytoplasm. Then the bee wizard used the basic spell Spark Ember to burn the mudskippers. The slime mold dissolved the mudskippers, gaining experience from both kills and decomposition. He observed that the parasitic puppets kept their former personalities, noting that Frog G was a show-off. He detected a smell and wondered what it was. He realized what it was, and the system notified a new dish: honey grilled fish. The puppets wanted to eat too, which surprised him since they were already puppets. He invited them to a victory feast, describing how the honey grilled fish was delicious, and the system indicated that decomposing cooked food yields more experience. Suddenly more enemies appeared and he called for battle readiness. A mudskipper leader level 49 emerged with a roar. The slime mold recalled that the leader could remember friends and foes and command the group with sound waves. He compared it to the queen bee but noted this one could fight. He decided to repeat the same tactics and asked everyone if they were ready. He got angry when his puppets kept eating even with the enemy approaching. The mudskipper leader leaped and tried to gulp down the crab snakehead fish and bee wizard, but the slime mold managed to pull them to safety. He decided that wireless mode was unreliable and switched to a wired connection to strengthen the signal. By directly connecting to the puppets through his cytoplasm, he could instantly relay commands. It wasn't as precise as taking over directly, but it allowed for more coordinated attacks with greater numbers. He realized he was essentially using puppet art and thought it was cool. He ordered the attack, noticing that the leader ate its own soldier's corpse, driven by instinct and low intelligence. The frog puppet attacked from behind with empowered tongue, but the mudskipper leader detected it and knocked the frog away with its tail. Above, the bee wizard prepared a fireball with Spark Ember. The fireball dropped and caused a huge explosion. It seemed to be done, but the mudskipper leader used an earthen shield, surprising the slime mold with its intermediate grade magic. The slime mold noted that despite the leader's foolish appearance, its magic was higher than the bee wizard's. He decided to use a meat shield for a 3-for-1 trade and ordered the crab to charge. But the crab disobeyed and disconnected, choosing to keep eating the mudskippers. The system explained that in automatic mode, puppets act according to their own best interests. The slime mold realized the crab was prioritizing evolution through eating. Suddenly, the crab puppet molted and evolved into a mud crab king. The system described the mud crab king as a level monster with an iron hard shell, capable of crushing iron shoes and with gold in its shell. The slime mold used consciousness shift to take control of the mud crab king, boosting that he now controlled a medium danger monster while the leader was only normal danger. He declared to prepare yourself. He drove the crab to charge at the mudskipper leader with a golden impact. The mudskipper leader broke off a scale and threw it like a boomerang, slicing the crab in half. The slime mold was stunned that his crab was one shot, wondering why. The system explained that after molting, the crab's shell is soft for about 7 days, making it most vulnerable. The slime mold started imagining how to cook the crab, remembering a recipe that uses magical potato flour for batter. He imagined deep frying it for 3 minutes. After cooling, it would be ready to eat, but only golden mud crab kings are safe. Green or blue ones contain heavy metals. He drooled at the thought, then scolded himself for turning to cooking skills for answers. The fin boomerang returned to the mudskipper leader, who caught it. The mudskipper reattached its fin, ready to continue the fight. The mudskipper raised a hand, taunting the slime mold to come at it, looking stylish. The slime mold acknowledged the mudskipper's intelligence and declared it would get serious, expecting plenty of experience points. The slime mold controlled its slime to advance toward the mudskipper. The slime mold suddenly launched its club at the mudskipper, shouting, "Over here." The club grazed past the mudskipper. But the mudskipper's skin was only slightly scratched, as its slippery skin reduced physical damage by half to 3/4 and lessened fire damage. The slime mold realized its attacks were being deflected but figured it could wear the creature down slowly. The mudskipper used a skill to create an earthen shield, blocking the club with a mid-tier spell called Swampflow Art. The earthen mounds broke the slime mold's formation, severing the links. The slime mold cried, "My formation is broken." Above, the bee mage fired a fireball, but the mudskipper blocked it with its earthen shield. The mudskipper then used the earth to attack the bee mage. The slime mold directed the frog to pull the bee away from danger. The slime mold realized the entire mud pit was under the mudskipper's control. "It has home field advantage," it exclaimed. The slime mold admitted it had underestimated the mudskipper, which was far more powerful than other monsters of the same level. Gaining intelligence gave a massive combat boost. "You're clever," the mudskipper said, and flung its fin toward the slime mold. The slime mold called out, its little dolphin, as a snakehead fish leaped to block the mudskipper's attack. The system warned that the parasitic puppet's durability was dropping rapidly from 47% to 23%. Then it announced that the parasitic puppet had been destroyed. The slime mold was hit but thanked Little Dolphin for its sacrifice, which provided a buffer. The slime mold caught the mudskipper's fin without taking damage, shouted "Got it," and used the dissolution skill. The system confirmed the decomposition was successful and experience points were gained. The mudskipper felt a chill of fear when its fin didn't return, looking around in confusion. The mudskipper touched its head and realized the fin was gone, while the slime mold mocked it. The mudskipper became furious. The mudskipper finally spoke, raging, "Kill, kill.
I'll kill you, you bastard."
The slime mold was shocked that the mudskipper could speak. The system explained that intense emotion during battle could trigger intelligence evolution and language ability. Enraged, the mudskipper activated its mid-tier swampflow art again. The slime mold shrugged off the skill, claiming it had defeated even more powerful monsters and was ready for a final showdown. The slime mold spun its club, preparing to launch it. The slime mold launched the club at the mudskipper with an attack called plasmatic cannon. The mudskipper clasped its hands together like a hand seal from an anime, and a loud slap echoed. Then earthen walls rose to block the slime mold's incoming club. The club tore through several layers of earth but was finally stopped by the last wall. The slime mold was shocked that its club was completely blocked and worried it might lose its weapon. The system activated martial arts talent, allowing the slime mold to create its own technique. A move was now available. The slime mold was confused. Martial arts talent. Create moves. What does that mean? Deciding to just go for it, it released the move. With a boom, the slime mold fired another projectile that pierced through the earthen barriers. It was a water hammer strike. The club flew straight into the mudskipper's face. The mudskipper took a devastating hit and collapsed on the spot. The scene shifts to the royal capital, the Holy See. Pope Sanctus announced that Merlin's life candles had all gone out 3 days ago with no sign of relighting. It seemed Merlin had finally sacrificed himself. He stated that his world magic could no longer detect any trace of Gorn, so that threat was neutralized. He asked for the others' opinions. A hooded figure, Far, spoke up, noting that Merlin was cunning and must have prepared multiple contingency plans. While Gorn had been trapped in the swamp forest for over 2 years, it was hard to believe that Gorn could take Merlin down with him even in death. Far suspected that Gorn, as a Trill, have hidden cards, and offered to go and completely erase the swamp forest to eliminate any future threat. Pope Sanctus acknowledged Far's careful thinking but said the swamp forest's vitality was essential as a sacrifice and must be preserved. He assured them that his world magic never erred, and that Gorn was new more. Far expressed hope that was true but urged that the priority should be to replenish the 7 Holy Knights' strength, not letting Merlin's death delay the Ascension plan. Pope Sanctus agreed, saying that a suitable candidate had arrived and invited them forward. A young woman stepped forward and greeted the Pope and the Holy Knights. Dylan, the head of the Holy Song Guild and one of the 7 Holy Knights, remarked that she was Merlin's apprentice, indeed a suitable candidate, but her personality was nothing like Merlin's. Louisa, crying, begged the Pope and the Holy Knights for help. She pleaded, saying they had to save Master Merlin. She didn't know what to do without him. The Blue Hat Guild would be ruined. Vian, the head of the Eagle Eye Guild and another of the 7 Holy Knights, casually invited Louisa to join his guild if Blue Hat fell, though he added that only A rank and above need apply. Louisa thanked Vian but declined, saying she had promised her master to stay with Blue Hat forever. She then turned to the Pope, begging him to save her master, even offering to sacrifice herself to seek an angel's blessing. Pope Sanctus remarked on the touching bond between master and apprentice, and asked if she was truly willing to give herself to save Merlin. Louisa affirmed that she was willing. But the Pope gently explained that even angels were not all powerful, and Merlin's soul had already been completely annihilated with no hope of return. He then declared that from that day on Louisa would inherit both the Blue Hat Guild and the title of the 7 Holy Knights. Louisa cried out in despair, but Vian told her to stop crying and show gratitude, as many stronger people would kill for the title. Louisa composed herself, saying she would inherit her master's will, manage the guild, and serve the church wholeheartedly. Then, in a flashback, Louisa remembered a time when she had asked her master why he had activated the tracking magic urgently, asking if something was wrong. Merlin's voice replied, cursing Gorn and revealing that he had copied his soul fragments into all his disciples. Louisa had the highest compatibility, and he intended to possess her body to be reborn. He called her over, asking for her hand. But Louisa refused, saying that as long as she didn't touch him, the magic spell he had engraved on her heart couldn't be triggered. She had secretly read his black magic book. Merlin panicked, accusing her of defying him, and begged her to save him, offering to teach her everything. Louisa said she would help him now. She pulled out a dusty book, and then, in a twisted tone, she said she would help him by killing him, so that everything would become hers. The scene then shifted back to the slime mold's battle. The mudskipper suddenly opened its eyes and woke up. It muttered in frustration that its trick hadn't worked. The slime mold urged his frogmount to go faster, reasoning that since the system hadn't logged any kill experience, the mudskipper was either unconscious or playing dead. Either way, safety first, so they should keep running. The mudskipper gave chase. The slime mold screamed that it was catching up. He directed the frog to turn into a different area, not to compete with speed on the open mudflat. The slime mold ducked into a swamp forest. The mudskipper arrived and began searching for him in the forest. The slime mold thought to himself that his water hammer attack required stretching his body to a certain distance, and the mudskipper's intelligence meant it wouldn't fall for the same trick. The mudskipper's mud control magic was troublesome, and with home field advantage it would be risky. Though he wanted its body, it wasn't worth the danger. The mudskipper taunted, calling the slime mold a little yellow bastard and saying it couldn't hide forever. The mudskipper unleashed a mid-level spell, Swampflow Art, with the widest area range. The slime mold was shocked that the spell could also be used for mapping, as a stream of mud began to surround his frog. The mudskipper shouted, "Over here," and pounced. The slime mold cried out in frustration as mud began to envelop both him and the frog. The slime mold shot a glob of slime at the bee above and pulled himself up. The bee used a levitation spell to help haul him higher, while the slime mold cheered on the frog. But his grip slipped, and he couldn't lift the frog out of the mud. A system prompt appeared explaining that in automatic mode, parasitic puppets always choose the optimal action for their host. The mudskipper declared that he wouldn't let the slime mold escape. He focused his energy and unleashed a mid-tier spell, the Swampflow Art. Using the mud, he propelled himself upward to snatch the slime mold. The slime mold shouted, "You again, just die," and launched an attack. He activated his cytoplasmic machine gun, firing a barrage of slime bullets. The mudskipper raised a wall of earth to block the incoming shots. He asked if it was over. With a shout of "Take this back," he sent the bullets ricocheting back at the slime mold. The bee was gravely wounded from the fight. Using its last strength, the bee tossed the slime mold to safety. The slime mold cried out, "Master Bee," deeply moved by the bee mage's sacrifice. Then the mudskipper lunged forward and swallowed the bee mage whole. The slime mold reflected that even though his companions were just disposable puppets, he had grown attached to them and vowed to remember them forever. He expanded his body surface area to glide, noting that the muddy terrain had given way to something else. He landed on a patch of bare ground, hoping he was finally safe. But as soon as he touched the ground, he began losing health in chunks of 200 points. Startled, he leaped into a nearby bush, complaining about the sudden damage. The system notified him that he had landed in a highly saline alkali flat, causing osmotic imbalance, and that his previous adaptation was only for high moisture environments. He asked how he was supposed to leave this deadly place. He saw that the clumps of grass were spaced too far apart for a single leap. The mudskipper appeared again, and the slime mold tried to reason with him, but the mudskipper was enraged because his hair had been ruined. The mudskipper swore to hunt the slime mold to the ends of the earth, claiming his rage made his magic more potent. But the mudskipper was also being burned by the salty ground beneath his feet. He let out a pained yelp and jumped. The slime mold yelled in frustration. Then suddenly the mudskipper appeared on the grass clump while the slime mold found himself on the ground, losing health. His health dropped and then increased from using honey, but the honey ran out and the system warned him to leave the alkaline land. The mudskipper had used a substitution spell to swap their positions, laughing as he watched the slime mold suffer. The slime mold realized he couldn't make it to the next patch of grass in time. Desperate, he frantically searched his inventory for anything that could save him. He found something and pulled out a pair of iron legs called feather flip. With a loud crash, he brought out the iron stilts. The mudskipper stared in surprise. The slime mold found that the iron stilts completely insulated him from the harmful ground. He wobbled awkwardly, not yet used to walking on stilts. "I'm gonna fall, steady," he cried as he fought to keep his balance. After a moment he felt more confident. He mused that controlling the iron legs was like walking on stilts, and once you found the rhythm, it wasn't so difficult. With a laugh he said he'd be on his way. The mudskipper snarled and tried to use swampflow art again, but the dry land had no mud to control. The slime mold laughed, taunting that the mudskipper's magic was useless here. The mudskipper fumed, swearing he would never let the slime mold go. After walking for a while, the slime mold noticed something glittering in the distance. It was a teleportation portal. Slime mold was stunned to see a teleportation portal. But there was a highly concentrated salt lake in between, and falling in would instantly dehydrate him. Plus he wasn't strong enough yet to venture into the human world. He returned to his home in the rain. His system panel showed he was a level 51 slime mold with health 3989, skills like decomposition, pulse, poison resistance, cytoplasmic jet, parasitic domination, and lightning resistance, and 0-3 skill points remaining. He explained that parasitic domination cost 2 points per level, so at level 7 he could control 7 puppets, but a mudskipper had wiped out his entire collection, forcing him to start from scratch. As the environment recovered, monsters grew stronger, offering more experience but also more danger. He reminded himself to stay low and slowly build strength. He realized it was raining hard and he had forgotten to close the door. Suddenly he discovered the mudskipper had found his home, shouting, "Found you, you little yellow bastard." The mudskipper lunged at him. Panicked, he retreated into his base. "Don't come any closer," he yelled. He woke up, realizing it was just a nightmare. That mudskipper had really traumatized him. In the morning he created some clones and ordered them to capture decomposable ingredients nearby. He commanded. He set a new goal: reach level 60. The system said at 60 he could undergo a class change or evolution. Suddenly a tongue shot out from nowhere and hit him. It turned out to be the tongue of a gecko, a low-level monster that didn't know who was the hunter. His decomposition skill dissolved the gecko's tongue. The gecko used its camouflage skill to hide. He used his search skill and taunted, "Camouflage is useful, but your opponent is me." "You," he exclaimed. He used parasitic domination on the gecko, gaining a new puppet swamp chameleon with 87% durability and skills like fist tong, whip tong, and camouflage. His clones returned with a lot of food. "So much, well done," he praised. Because of the level gap, direct decomposition gave too little experience. He needed to develop more efficient skills. The system introduced cooking processed ingredients, increased experience gain, and could trigger extra effects. He asked the system to scan the ingredients for possible recipes. The system listed several dishes including aromatic deluxe platter and grilled fish, but all required fire, which he lacked. None of them work. "Is there anything I can make without fire?" he wondered. He spotted one. The system showed plain salad washed ingredients, restoring 50 to 300 health points with no special effects. "What's the point of that?" he complained. Fire wasn't a problem, he could find a bee master, but he had eaten all nearby beehives. Then he recalled another monster with fire magic. Bang, the scene shifted to a squirrel eating chestnuts. Slime mold struck the squirrel on the head. "This creature's fire is way more powerful than the bee master's," he noted. He used parasitic domination on the fire squirrel, gaining a puppet with 76% durability and skills like fireball, agile movement, and self-destruct. "Come on, little squirrel, heat up that stone slab for me," he ordered. The squirrel used fireball to create a flame under the slab for cooking. The fire lit up. He crafted a spatula by partially decomposing wood and remarked on the profundity of Chinese cuisine. 2 hours later he sprinkled salt collected from the saline land onto the dish. "While it's done," he exclaimed. His meal was ready.